What's up, team? We're switching the environment for you guys every week. We want to keep it real, we want to keep it interesting. We're gonna switch our outfits and switch the background, right?
Yeah, you can go to a room in every room.
But we're not gonna mess with the camera equipment because it is, trust me, it takes like 20 minutes to do these location resets, but Bowie's cutely sleeping in the corner. She's finally settled down.
She's always with us. Actually, she was in the corner once too.
All right, what are you talking about today, Coach? What's up?
Summer strategies.
Ooh,
I think it's very relevant, and we've been asked in many different ways, maybe not directly, or even indirectly, of what we do or what the best way to navigate and balance out the summer season. And we're already about halfway through, but there's still a lot left to go, and there's still a lot of progress that can be made, or strategies to implement now.
well, we talk a lot about this idea of counterbalancing. We have it all over our social, and people often want to know, like, hey, so what do you guys do? You've been relatively fit for about 20 years. How have you not got a beer belly? Or, how are you still, ripping on the tennis court or whatever it is? And, the answer I always have is like, they're like, oh, you mustn't eat. Actually, when I started a new company, so I work in software full time, guys, but when I usually start a new company, I become the fitness guy, and they're like, oh, you would never eat that. You never eat ice cream. You kidding me? Have you seen my nighttime routine? So the reality is we are human like everybody else. Yeah, we know we're not show ready right now, but I mean, we do keep it together. And the reality is, well, there's a couple of things we talked about the last podcast, the idea of like prioritizing muscle building so that keeps our metabolism really high. But when we think actually from a day-to-day basis and week to week, we're always thinking about counterbalance. Certainly your favorite word, deposits and withdrawals, right? Making sure that you're making more deposits to the health bank account than withdrawals away from.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like personally, at the beginning of the summer, I think everybody can relate to this. It's like as soon as the nice weather hits and the sun is out, all you want to do is have a nice cold beer or a cider, personally, or rosé. Like it all goes down real easy. I don't know, and it's just, I just want to enjoy it. You just feel like, especially after a pandemic in the past 2 summers, everyone's just like, I'm living life. So
the reality is we do have everyone knows, but we do try and prioritize our health despite that, because just because we're not doing an F45 challenge or getting ready for a fitness competition or the World Series or whatever it is, doesn't mean you have to have your health routine fall apart. You can actually maintain and, like you said, slightly improve potentially. So we want to talk about, we want to make this podcast quick. We want to give you guys some tactics on how to counterbalance. So we've bucketed it into 7 things that we found super effective to prioritize, keep yourself even keel, and not lose all those gains that we're all going to work for in the boring fall.
Yeah, that's right. So what do we got for?
All right, numero uno, one of your favorites, prioritize protein. Yes, prioritize protein for a lot of reasons. So first and foremost, protein is the macronutrient that's going to help you build muscle. So if you're feeding your muscles, whether you're training hard or less hard than you typically were, you require, actually, if you're training less hard, then you need even more protein, or if you're trying to lose a lot of weight, you need more protein. We talked about that a lot. But this idea that our body, there's this undulating nitrogen balance in our body, right? And it's always you're in catabolic breakdown states, anabolic growth states, and our body's undulating between these two, extremes. And that's what homeostasis is, right? But absent some sort of stimulus to build muscle, absent a nutritional stimulus, so intake of protein, that balance tends to slip down into the catabolic breakdown. So it's really important that we give ourselves that protein to maintain the muscle mass, to keep that metabolic engine high, so that we can counterbalance, so that we can have some fun and know that we're going to gobble up those calories a little bit more. That's one reason for protein, but I'll kick it over to my partner here for some other ideas.
Yeah, well, so on the protein note, I mean, not only that is it incredibly satiating, so it takes longer to digest, and we tend to not eat as well if we've also been drinking a little bit, or even just our schedules, routines are changing throughout the summer, and we're just a little less routine. So if you prioritize that at every meal and really thinking, if you've never tracked macros before, just making sure that you have a really decent animal protein source will always be, the easiest way to understand if you have something high protein on your plate, whether that's eggs in the morning or whey protein in your smoothie, or whether that's something like cottage cheese or Greek yogurt, tuna, eggs again for lunch, or whatever you might have as leftovers. And then of course a good quality protein source at night as well, with being that main source. Always, I believe, and I know that the food pyramid doesn't show that always has that base of carbs at the bottom, but it should be built around your protein sources.
100%. Yeah, we got to go back to essential, right? Essential fatty acids, essential amino acids. There's no essential carbohydrates, right? Although we can find value from them in the right context. So starting your day with, or starting your, having protein in every meal will give you that satiating effect. But the other thing is, and I've heard this recently, which is super smart, is begin your meal with protein. So if you begin your meal with protein, you get that satiating effect. You're probably going to eat less of the carbohydrates. So it doesn't need to be spoonful of carbs, spoonful of protein, spoonful of veggies, spoonful of carbs, spoonful of, you can actually just finish the protein, take a deep breath, chew it all up, see how you feel. And then maybe you will want less of those potatoes, those sort of non-essential
want
carbs.
to eat that first anyways, because it's like, if it's still warm, you
Yeah,
really
true.
want to eat it first and enjoy it. And then kind of filling up as you go. But I'd say that's pretty hard sometimes when you get like rice, like you love rice. I could probably eat all of my rice first if I need to.
But that's one of the best carbohydrates you're going to have it. But so the thing about protein too is it's barbecue season. So it's everywhere. So get after it, enjoy it. It's that
Somebody
kind
wants
of
to enjoy it and like make stuff extra and like.
Well, that's another trick, right? So if you make dinner, we should start this more. It's like make that third chicken breast so that you can cut it up and make
I do
scrambled
it once
morning.
in a while.
Yeah, it's huge. We had that roasted chicken the other night, right?
Yeah.
We ran out of time to cook dinner, so we went and got a roasted chicken at the grocery store. Ate half of it last night, and I put it in my eggs this morning. So just a great strategy, guys.
What came first, the chicken?
Yeah, so get dirty with the protein. Go after it. Don't sweat. There's the research is heavily supportive of the health benefits of protein versus some of this stuff going around our mentor. It's a whole other topic we're not going to get into today, but just get after it.
Absolutely. I mean, incorporating it as good of quality sources as you can, but honestly, it's going to better your health. And I don't, I can argue that until the cat's come home.
Absolutely. All right. Number 2, leverage the intermittent fast. So we've got to be very careful with intermittent fasting. That means different things to different people. So we'll talk a little bit about what that means to us. It's a very light version of it. There is some efficacy around some more, I'll use the word aggressive or intense or elongated fasts. So you definitely look into that research. And there's also some folks who have had a history of dysfunctional eating, right? Or disordered eating, however you want to describe that. And so they can get tricky with intermittent fast because all of a sudden it's, well, I'm intermittent fasting. It's like, are you or are you not eating, right? So you want to be very
the better
particular here. So when we think of the idea of counterbalancing, and this kind of blends to point number 3, which is planning your week. But if we know that we had Shorty's pizza the other day, it was amazing. But the next day, I intermittent fasted until noon. Right. And I stopped eating at 8. I had an 8-hour vegan window. Why did I do that?
No, that wasn't to punish yourself. Right?
Absolutely not to punish myself. Is actually to counterbalance. It's because I knew that I took in all those calories. And when I averaged that out over the week, not having food between, wake at like 7 and noon is going to push me closer to a caloric deficit that day. It's going to give me a better probability of being in a caloric deficit, right? It's not guaranteed. But the summertime and having fun and counterbalancing isn't about guarantees. It's about probabilities. It's about setting yourself up to stumble into a good outcome. And so when you intermittent fast, the studies show that's not really the intermittent fasting that leads to weight loss and calorie deficits. It's not biologically what's happening with the fast that leads to that caloric deficit. It's actually the fact that it's just difficult to cram the same amount of calories into a lower window of eating, right? Or a lesser window of eating. So that using that fast strategically helps sort of offset maybe when you got dirty the day before, or even better, if you're planning to have a big barbecue this weekend. So let's set ourselves up. Let's kind of be tight for 4 days so that we can go get wild on that Friday.
I often, ask my clients if they've ever used intermittent fasting before, and if they haven't, and if you haven't, then you want to ease into that. It's not about go all day and the longer the better. So you still absolutely, of course, if we're saying prioritize protein, that doesn't mean only eat 1 meal a day with a lot of protein in it. That's not going to be enough to sustain or keep your muscle mass around or help you build if you are still generally working out on, keeping up with your routine. So less is not better. But it is good in a preparatory manner. So if there's something coming up, or if you had like a weekend where you just felt like you overdid it and you just could really use like a reset rather than thinking I have to punish myself, because there is still this
It's not punishing.
it's not, but sometimes I think that it's a slippery slope, or it's a really fine line. Let's put it that way. So you feel like you had a lot of pizza yesterday, like, man, I am not eating tomorrow, but it should be coming from a place of like, I want to give my digestion a chance to just recover and take a break.
Love that.
You know, drink a lot of fluids, lots of electrolytes. I even have drinks like little powders for fiber that can get things moving along again, and just making sure, you know, that you're feeling your absolute best before you put in some really nutrient dense food in the next day, not in a punishment manner.
Well, you know, that's another thing too, which should be like point number 8. We're gonna slip it in here, is whole foods. So the interesting thing about a fast, and you're so right about this, is that like if you've never done it before and you try to just tackle it, your body has a rhythm of expecting sugars, right? It gets used to certain, if you're giving it processed foods, if you're having that bowl of cornflakes every day, guess what? Your system, right? Your glucose regulation system is going to exactly all the hunger, leptin, ghrelin, everything, the way it interacts in your body, insulin. It is going to set your body up to expect that, and you're going to get irritable. Maybe you have highs and lows, and it's going to push you to want that. So when we say use whole foods, use protein, we're actually trying to help you set that fasting schedule up for success. You don't want to break your fast with something processed, because that's when you're gonna lose all the benefits of it. So we're
The
getting
longer you try to go, the more you're gonna want to eat something that is bad for you. Because I find that like if you've never done it before, don't go all the way to noon or 2
That's
o'clock
right.
or whatever. The first thing that you're gonna look at is you're like, I can't wait to eat. And sometimes that's when we make the worst decision. So it's not about as long as possible. If you've never done it before, you stop eating your meals, 8 p.m. at night perhaps. A full 16-hour fast would be until noon the next day, but you don't have to. Like, test it, push it a little bit each day and see how far you can get before you get those hunger hormones again, and then, working on that as it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny. I heard something recently. It's like, we don't know what real hunger is, right? When you're like when we're talking about going out for lunch, I could really use a taco. Yeah, that's great. That's a craving. Hunger is when, the example I heard was, man, a bowl of celery, just plain celery. I can crush that. You know what I mean? Because that is real hunger. We don't really know what that is in our society. You and I don't even.
Well, I feel like a little grumbly feeling, and I feel like I'm getting hangry.
That's a craving. That's not hunger.
Really?
That's
Even when my
hunger.
stomach is grumbly?
No,
Come on.
no, biologically, like, are you starving? Are you? Absolutely not. Like, or you would be racing, they say, for those things that, like, give me a raw zucchini, I'm gonna crush it. Like, if you're craving something specifically, it's often that sugar playing the game.
Right.
Anyhow. All right, tactic number 3, plan your week. We all know we have the holidays, and we did a really good job of this year. We're like, this weekend we're doing this. We actually did it for the first time ever. We planned our whole summer all the way through September.
Usually one weekend we haven't yet, but
Yeah, and I keep hoping it's the weekend coming, and it never is that weekend. But in any case, plan it out. If we're having a wine tour thing, we're doing a wine tour with our buddies, right? So you better believe that week that we're gonna have a nutrition dial, and we're gonna have a workout dial. And it's not about punishment, like you say, because that's it's not about, I'm gonna have some fun, so I need to lash myself and I need to, repent. No, this is about, I want to be healthy. My body needs a certain amount of nourishment, so I'm going to set it up for success so that I can fully liberate and fully enjoy. Because you don't want to be having that donut or that wine at that event and doubles thinking it. You don't want to be second guessing yourself. You want to fully immerse yourself.
Yeah, and I think, it's easy to think about having wine and drinks like casually for the summers. Everybody does it. It's not a big deal, but it does all add up. 1 and 2, I really like to think of these simple pleasures in life, and really look forward to them and make them special rather than a daily thing. Because when it comes down to it, alcohol and processed foods or fried foods or things like that, eaten out more often than not, are toxic to our system.
Well, they're engineered to make you want them to.
I don't want to sound like I'm like of course I eat those things. Of course I love them. I'll crave all those things, cheesecake, fries, whatever. Like, of course, when I'm out, I want those things too. And I look forward to them too. But I know if we ate those things even 2 days in a row, both of us are like, oh my gosh, I can't look at it for a little while. Like, it's just too much.
Well, and that's not because we're great, it's because we counterbalanced and we've gotten our bodies used to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in a day, right?
No,
if we've engineered ourselves to want processed foods, like, believe me, it's difficult, but you can do it by those baby steps that you described.
Yeah, absolutely. So planning for that ahead of time might be, again, when I work with clients, I have them plan for it with high days and their tracking. A lot of people don't like to track on the weekends, and no big surprise, it's because they don't want to know how badly they are going over. And I get it. It's like, why track at this point? I'm already going way past what I should be eating. And it's kind of like a effort mentality.
Just track your protein. Like, that's the thing.
At the very least, right? Or at least, again, prioritizing everything that you're eating, even if it's bad food, is there still some protein sources that we can throw in there when you're out and about, right?
But like, I mean, even if you track, like mentally track it, don't even physically track it, right? Like, so what I do.
But you need to track first to know what that is.
100%,
So if you've
depending on-
never tracked before, you wouldn't know that this size of a chicken breast has 30 or 40 grams in it, right? So the more you track in the beginning, that's why I'm a big advocate for it, because it's not something to do forever, to really learn a lot about the food visually, what it's comprised of over time. So while you're heading towards those weekends coming up, if you ever want to track it, take a look at what it is. It's really informative to see how much you're going over so that you have the power to change your habits, right?
Yeah, a few days, right? I think you want to understand what things are worth. And certainly in a down season, that's a little less fun, easier to do. In the summer, at the very least, tracking that protein, egg 5 grams, chicken breast 30 grams,
Yeah.
Gerald's bar 22 grams,
Right.
protein shake 30 grams. And you just kind of do that mental inventory at night, right? So
Yeah, but like for planning for those events, again, not having to track, it's just a 70-30, let's say. It's not, it's certainly not an 80-20, 90-10 in the summer, as much as we like to think of us being like, mostly I'm really good all week long, and it's just that one day a week. That's more of like your 90-10, 80-20 type of thing. In the summer, let's be honest, it's more of like a 70-30. Let's not head down to the 60-40s, because that's where things are really, you probably will start to notice more weight gain or feeling lethargic. Yeah, like those are the things you're going to start to notice if you're heading in the other direction, you're not bringing enough balance.
yeah, and then the flip side of that, you want transformation, you're talking 90-10, right? Which, anyone who's done this before will tell you that living 90-10, living 95-5, that's not healthy in the long run, and it's difficult to sustain. Like, life's for living. So as close as we can be to 80-20 and 70-30, counterbalance on the year. My 70-30 in the summer and around Christmas time, and then the rest of the year in 85-15. Okay, cool.
Very likely.
Yeah. All right. Hang with the right people. So right people, wrong people. Try to surround yourself. If your wellness is becoming an increasing priority to you in the summer, try and gravitate toward either doing activities with your friends and family, or hanging out with that crew that is also interested in moving. And even if it's a friend that you're going for a walk with every day, try and or you're going away for the weekend, try and put yourself and create that average of the 5 people you hang out with the most, to either bring them on the journey or seek those people out to encourage you to keep it together.
Yeah, I mean, one example of that would be, we haven't gone to any cottages this summer, but usually when we go out there, we do try to do some sort of HIIT training workout with whoever we're going out with, and not everybody wants to do it. But even if I get one workout in when I'm gone, I feel so much better. I'm like, okay, just moving my body, pumping blood around, pumping insulin around. If I've eaten, a bunch of things that I don't normally. Again, it's not a punishment. It does make me feel better too, because like when you're out and about and you're traveling, at least one day, it's gonna make you feel better. It's not about now you have to get up every day at 5 a.m. on your vacation.
Best workout ever.
Yeah, like just again, bring balance, but it doesn't mean like, some people are just like, I can't work out on vacation. Yeah, you can. You set these expectations that it needs to be early in the morning, and it needs to be an amazing workout. It needs to be every single day that you're gone. If you were that type, it does not need to be like that, right? It's not like there's one type who works out on vacation and there's other type that doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best workouts are the ones where you're demotivated and you have a half-assed workout because you did it, you stuck to your routine, right? And on that note, if you are going to have carbs and you are going to get dirty, as I keep saying, and you are going to be on that 30% for one day, use that power. We all know that carbohydrates, so I talked about essential fatty acids, essential proteins. Carbohydrates give you energy to move, to live, to act, right? So if you're going to go have that plate of rice and jerk chicken, which I love, use it. Go do like either, you're doing your leg workout before, you're crushing or you're crushing a strength day at F45, and then you go fuel up on carbs and protein after, or you have it the day before, then you're doing a race the next day. Put it to work. Like, it's not, you got to kind of change the way you look at it. You didn't fail. How can I get the most of the situation I find myself in?
Yeah, like that even comes back to having weekends that you feel off the rails, or or one big meal, whatever it is, something that you wouldn't normally have. People assume that, oh, I already failed, or this summer is basically a write-off. No, it doesn't have to be. And it doesn't mean that because one bad meal means that you don't, need to eat nutritious things ever again, or that you're not that type of person. Everybody does that. If anything, even in the bodybuilding culture, they do cheat meals every single weekend, and then they call it a cheat meal for a reason. They
It's
are not healthy foods that they have, right? It's not like, oh, I just really want to eat more like steak and broccoli. No, they go for burgers and fries and ice cream and everything, right? So, and they actually will always tell you that the next day they have a pretty good workout, or they have like, they filled up their storages. It's like Super Mario when he eats the little, does he eat mushrooms?
Yoshi, yes.
Oh, Yoshi eats them, yeah. Well, when they eat it, they go, and they get bigger, and they.
Okay, yeah. The mushroom comes out and it gets super.
Yeah, so whatever he ate, it made him bigger and it gave him a lot more.
He didn't eat it, he just like shouldered
He
it.
stepped on it,
Yeah.
and it went, and it was gone, and it kind of went inside him, obviously, because it gave him points, so.
Those magic mushrooms.
Yeah.
That's probably what's happening there. It's like a magic mushroom thing. Mario was getting high and he was like surrounded by stars and shooting fireballs.
I'm going as fast as possible.
That's probably what happened when they made Mario. It's a hallucination.
Yeah, I mean, when did they make that? 80?
Oh, maybe it's considered 70s. Anyways, we digress. Magic mushrooms. Yeah, microdosing. Whole nother thing that we know nothing about that maybe we'll bring an expert in to talk about.
Yeah, that would be fun.
All right, so kind of thinking about nutrition, thinking about workouts. Most of us are kind of more proficient at one than the other, right? I tend to be a workout guy. I tend to slack my eating. I find like you're better at like keeping the diet dialed, and you still work out hard, but like you're more likely to keep the diet in check and keep your workout routine in check. Whereas I'm never going to miss a day of activity, but I could really fall off the rails. So that's all right. I mean, we know that it's not just calories in, calories out. We know that if well, let me take a step back. There's two schools of thought, and there's lots of science and theses around this that say, hey, look, if you can eat a stick of butter every day, you get the same amount of energy and kind of maintain your weight, or you could eat cornflakes all day, and if you're calorie matched, then hey, you're going to maintain the same weight. While that may be true, energy in, energy out, quality of that food is going to give us different cravings and set us down the right on path. There's micronutrients.
Butter, but
why I say all that, right? So we do want to give some mindfulness to our diet, but hey, look, at the end of the day, like if you're kind of hanging in there in the diet, but you can go crush your workout every day, lean into that. Be the workout person this summer. I'm super active. My diet's moderately okay. I'll probably stay the same, right? I'm offsetting or I'm counterbalancing some of those extra calories by working out hard. Now, we just did a podcast and we said, hey, look, cardio, it's wonderful. It's a way to day-to-day impact that energy in, energy out balance. But over time, our body gets more efficient at storing calories because it wants to have those available for that next cardio activity. We continue to push ourselves harder in cardio, our body gets more efficient over time. Strength training works differently. We build up muscle, we increase our BMR, we burn, right? So, I mean, all of this to say, what I'm saying right now is kind of lean into that energy burn in the workout for a few months, right? Okay, cool. I'm aware of it. I am trying to build muscle mass, but at the same time, I'm using my workout to offset the calories for the short run strategy. So we're keeping the spare tire off in the summer. Totally cool in the short run, right? If that's what's easier for you.
Yeah.
Energy's finite, willpower is finite. And when we're in the summer and we're tempted and the sun's out, the drinks are flowing, everyone's having fun, we're on the patio, we got to go find our opportunities to be successful. So I say if it's your workout, lean in your workout more. And if it's your nutrition, you just can't get to the gym because you're tired, you're in the sun, you want to go see your friends, you're a new workout person, lean in your nutrition.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're going to lean into nutrition, then you might as well really get a handle of your balance of your meals and how you're putting them together. Like, because I'm assuming if you're leaning into your nutrition, you're making a lot, or if not all of your meals at home at that point. And again, remember, in both of these scenarios and all of the tips that we're saying right now, you're only going to be able to maintain at best.
Right.
Most people are not getting leaner in the summer, and they're not their highest performing selves in the gym, or maybe even at work. I think everybody can hear when somebody's like, oh, I just came back from vacation or a long weekend or had some friends over. People have later nights. That's something else that maybe we can touch on a tad, but it seems like our weekends are actually, we're not restoring anymore. And it's my organization too. I actually sleep less on the weekends, mostly because we do have a lot of things that we want to get done too, but we're also up later. So when you're naturally staying up later, or the sun's out longer in the summer, you're staying up later, you're watching more TV, or you're having more social hour type of things, your sleep quality is going down. And if you're not restoring on the weekends, you better be restoring during the week at least. Another type of balance that you
whether it's a nap if your job allows you to do that, or and I think that's a good point, Andy. It's like, we got to be reasonable. we gotta be reasonable with each other. I'm finally getting decent at this where, you know, I always want to take everything on. That's one of my things. I want to be the best tennis player, the strongest guy in the gym, winning the playoffs, have the biggest biceps.
And then a six-pack all year round.
Yeah. You know, and while I'm doing a few of those things moderately well, I have to be reasonable that you can't do and then not sleep. Forget it. Like you can't. So we have to be okay with maintaining in the summer, maintaining what we have. It's better than resting, right?
Yeah.
And so make that the goal. Don't set yourself up for, you know, emotional failure by saying, hey, I'm going to get my biggest this summer, then go live a 60-40 lifestyle. It's not going to happen. Got to be real.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Last but not least, if you pollute it, you got to dilute it.
Yeah, we gotta drink good water, guys. Definitely. Especially if we're drinking a lot, you know, if we're drinking a lot of alcohol and it's really hot outside. So our hydration is obviously impacted by that, but not only that, obviously the more alcohol we drink, the more we need water to help flush it out of our system. We can't. Unfortunately, it is a toxin and the body treats it as this, okay, how do we get this out of here immediately? And if you're not drinking enough water, it's going to use the water in your body to flush it out even faster. And that's why usually the next day after drinking, you probably notice that you weigh a little bit less and you look a little bit leaner because you're extremely dehydrated.
It's important to get those electrolytes in there, right? So we like to add half a pinch of salt to ours. I've got some BioSteel right now I'm experimenting with, which is a classic. Yeah, well, it's like a healthier Gatorade.
Yeah.
Still processed and all that stuff, so the jury's out. But
there's a brand that I've been wanting to try. Well, actually, we have tried it. We got the samples for it before. It's called Element.
okay,
No.
yes.
They had this all little different packets and very salty, which I like.
Well, they were saying that Element, a lot of mothers are taking it because it actually helps them with their breast milk production and and during you know, while they're carrying the baby, they're antibiotic fluid.
Yeah.
So Element, yeah, let's get on.
Yeah, I mean, hydration is important no matter what you do, but I think a lot of people don't understand that you can actually drink too much plain water, too much unmineralized water. And some people are like, oh, I'm so good at drinking water, but they're only drinking distilled or they're not drinking natural spring water. Or yeah, and you can actually end up changing the balance of sodium and potassium. And yeah, actually a friend of mine was doing a challenge for trying to drink, I think it was 4, I think it was a gallon, right? 4 liters is 1 gallon.
That's 2.6 or something. There's Canadian gallons.
Okay, I think she was trying to do it, at least like over 4 liters and like strict water of 4 liters. So your other liquids do count. So even though coffee is, you know, a diuretic, it does still have some water. Your almond milk, things like that, and your vegetables and things, those also contain water. So I can imagine how much water might have also been in her system at the same time. And she almost fainted. And she couldn't figure out why. And she talked to her homeopath and she said, what have you been doing differently lately? And she said, oh, you know, me and my mom were doing this water drinking challenge and encourage each other to drink more water, which is great. But she actually ended up, becoming hypernatremic. So that is when you know, dilute your blood volume of the salts, and sodium, potassium.
You know, what's the other crazy thing, and this is about like impacting concentration gradients in your blood, blood sugar. So if you're drinking more water and you have a set amount of sugar in your blood, right? From
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I knew something went on. That's why
Siri,
I was there.
hi.
She was like, hold on a minute, that's not, I'm fact checking. Noise canceling headphones, that was weird. Anyways, so when you think concentration gradients, if I have a given amount of blood sugar circulating in my blood and I add more water, what happens? Obviously the sugar per quart of blood, or however you want to measure that, goes down, right? And so there's these other benefits that they're coming out, or that they're talking about more now, which make perfect sense, where it's like, hey, you know, like if we have sticky blood or like, you know, low blood volume and for a given amount of blood sugar, then, you know, that puts us in a tougher position in terms of like, you know, the way insulin's working in the body, the way we're taking sugar into the blood, transporting it around, managing it. So, you know, the salt, for sure, the most important one, but also when we start thinking about blood sugar, it's just important to be hydrated. And back to satiety, it fills us up. So our stomach has baroreceptors in it, which are pressure receptors. And if we fill up with water, it's going to make us less, actually interact with those hunger hormones you're talking about, leptin, ghrelin, right? And so if we're full, obviously, it's tougher to want to eat, or it's discouraging to want to eat.
Absolutely. And on that, actually, we can kind of add to that a little bit with hydration is the type of alcohol that you're drinking and what you're mixing it with. I mean, that's obviously, we do think about that as being more health conscious people when we're drinking alcohol. Usually we'll mix it with things like just, flavored soda water, or having cottage springs, like having more of those than having more of the beer, obviously is going to be better.
She's
And
lying, I drink a lot of beer.
just a lot of beer,
I'm
but-
kidding. I mean, I do, but I also do what she's saying.
Yeah, we try to balance it out for sure. You do have a preference though, but it's also like at some point you have to be like, okay, how many of these do I truly want to enjoy? Like whatever your drink of choice is, whether it's wine or something like that, like how much of that do you really want to have before maybe you have more of the mixed drink or something that you can maybe make yourself. Sometimes I also love doing like coconut water with a bubbly and vodka or, whatever, gin, something like that, making it yourself. And it's so good with squeezes of lime. And then I find that just feels like it's hydrating me at the same time. And maybe it's quite not, but it's still much better than putting it with some sugary or diet soda. I mean, I just don't find that is going to be, I think that's just something else my body needs to now process and, take all of these weird components out because I just, as far as sugar goes.
Yes, basically more storage, you pollute it, dilute it. So
Mhm.
get that water in, yeah, it's gonna help you keep you full. It's going to put your blood in a better position.
And it detoxes you.
And detoxes you, yeah, helps you flush out. So that's it, guys. That's the counterbalancing summer strategy to have fun in 2022 and still keep your six pack.
Yeah. I mean, give it a go, see it and try those tips. Let us know how they work out. And if you have any other suggestions or questions for us, don't hesitate to reach out, whether that's on our Instagram. Our handle is F45 Hamilton Downtown. And if you want to, speak to both of us. And then we have separate handles as well at Live Aligned, LIVE, ALIGNED. And Justin's is the Effective.
Yeah, the_effective, which is EFFECUTIVE. That's tough. Yeah. And Bowie's is Bowie the Vishla, most importantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one last thing, I absolutely love taking digestive enzymes and probiotics. I take them on daily, and this can always better your digestion, so that you're getting the most nutrients out of your food. And one company that I love and I work with, I'm an ambassador for, is Bioptimizers. And I have a discount code with them. So if you're ever interested in checking out their products, www.bioptimizers.com. So it starts with BIO, so B like looks in bio, and then optimizers. So it's kind of cringe those two words together. And my discount code is for 10% off. Coach Andy, all one word. Take a look at their products. We highly recommend the digestive enzymes, the Enzymes.
And then magnesium, amazing.
Magnesium is also our favorite as well.
Huge in the summer too, when we think about cramping. And then we slammed some of that gluten guardian the other day before we had our pizza,
Yeah.
didn't we? And actually it wasn't so bad. My stomach felt pretty good after. I mean, I was full, but I didn't have to run to the toilet. So
Yeah, and
that's good.
they have a blood sugar combination as
Yeah.
well with a lot of herbs that help manage blood sugar, and you can have those before meals. So again, if you're planning on, having some more cheap meals and things like that throughout the summer, that's a great alternative too. If you're normally feeling that weighs you down for an extra couple of days, digestive enzymes. And if you're eating more protein and you're having a bit more trouble digesting it in the beginning,
that's one.
also a really great way to just aid your digestion and feel less bloated, everything. So absolutely.
Well, I mean, it's not even an alternative. It's a compliment, right? So like throw it in there for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
Oh
won't
yeah,
be disappointed.
absolutely.
Cool.
All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Peace out, and hope to speak with you soon.
We can just stop talking and then it'll go like to an outro. Like that's the one thing.